この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo and I am here for Mushoku Tensei episode 3. Last time on Mushoku Tensei, we learned Saint Class water magic and overcame a debilitating fear of going outside and getting harassed and bullied. We also saw some really useful flashbacks of old past Rudy's previous life, where he was ruthlessly harassed and bullied, and that gives us a pretty clear understanding of why he locked himself in his room and never left. Makes perfect sense. And then we had a bit of a moment with Roxy, where she had to leave, but he gained a respect for her good teaching, and most importantly, for helping him overcome his debilitating fear of the outside and of other people. Yeah, I think that's about all that I need to say in this moment, because we're going to turn our attention to the comments on the last episode, and from those, we will gather some more bits of information that I think are useful and fun. As promised, we're going to start off with the, something of shame, the public shaming thing. Again, to my pleasant surprise, there are almost no comments that are worthy of publicly shaming. The closest we get is a series of comments. This is the second time that these have been posted by this individual. They're copy-pasted, which is quite interesting, by Woofers. Hi, Woofers. I'm calling your ass out because your comments are, well, they're not that dumb, honestly. They're fine. They're just misaligned, I think. Basically, Woofer's comments are, Rudius is evil, he's a pedophile, and that's wrong. He's evil, there's nothing okay with him to be, I didn't know that this was the case, but filming his family member's kid in the bathroom and then jerking off to it. Etc., etc. There's no redemption for him, no second chance at life. He will continue to commit evil acts in this fantasy world designed for his wish fulfillment, and of similarly inclined audiences empathizing with him, as that seems to be the only purpose of this story. So there's where we run into the problem, Woofers, is that you take the idea that Rudius is evil and expand it outward to anyone who enjoys this show, or watches it even, must be evil. Anyone who can empathize with him must be like him, right? And that just doesn't ring true to me. It seems very, stubborn, maybe. Very particular, very, how would I put it? Ideological? Use of an idea. No, that isn't it. I don't know what the word would be. Regardless, I don't think this is a full worthy of a wall of shame, but it is kind of dumb to say that just because a show contains an evil character, the show itself is evil, which seems to be what you're getting at here. I don't see a reason for you to come into every episode that I post and comment something like this, unless you want to convince people that the show is somehow a moral failing, or that watching it is, which is odd, and, like, who cares? I watch tons of shows with evil characters, tons of shows with misaligned characters, wrong characters. I'm reading Oyasumi Poon Poon, right? Like, we've had multiple instances of sexual assault, some against minors, and that doesn't make the piece of media evil. In fact, it makes it more than interesting, because it's not lauding that behavior, it's demonstrating that behavior and allowing us to form our own opinions of it. So I don't really get where you're coming from, Woofers. I understand what your comment is, that Rudius is evil, but I don't see the relevance. Okay, there's an evil character in a piece of media. And that'll be it. Okay, moving on. Ira S. So far, quite enjoying this. I do hope, though, that Rudy will stop peeking at women's underwear. It just makes me roll my eyes every time and takes me away from the story. I know why it is there, but I do wish we'll move past that. Yeah, me too. And we're going to jump off of that to another comment that's relevant to that one. Give me a sec. Bingo. So to follow that up comes a comment from Anutham Suresh, right? So Ira S writes, it makes me feel uncomfortable, essentially, when Rudy keeps peeking at women's underwear or doing perverted things. And Anutham Suresh writes something that I think follows up on that really well. Writes, I don't think this show intends for the perverted gaze, the panty shots, and all that to be enjoyable. It's a cliche in a lot of anime to the point where viewers have been desensitized to it. But for some reason, in this show, the scenes that are what would conventionally be ecchi humor always make me feel uncomfortable. It feels like this is a deliberate decision on the studio's part. You're not supposed to find Rudy being a degenerate amusing or enjoyable. It's uncomfortable for the other characters involved in it, and by extension for the viewer. To a certain extent, I think Rudy is dimly aware of how far gone he is. He doesn't have a positive self-image. In summary, I would say that these scenes are needed to establish Rudy's character and his current mental state. Is it pleasant? No, but I think it's much more purposeful and intentional in the use of cliched ecchi tropes, which is a far cry better than 90% of anime and manga out there. We may not see eye to eye to this, but I'm standing by my feelings on this. Looking forward to this journey. See you next week, T. I do think we see eye to eye on this one, Anathom. I find those scenes uncomfortable too. It's kind of interesting, isn't it, that those scenes are shot in uncomfortable ways, and the way that the camera never seems to really linger in ways that are actually sexually titillating for us, the audience. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Almost like it knows what it's doing and is demonstrating Rudy's perspective, not our perspective. Or even perhaps demonstrating that Rudy's perspective is divorced from reality in some way. Doesn't that take some of the sting out of it? If it's critique, isn't it more interesting than if it's just doing it? So then that raises the question, is it critique? And that's what we're here to find out. So when we bring this back to Woofer's whole comment, blah blah evil Rudy, blah blah no redemption, blah blah everyone who watches this show is just like him. Wait, what? Really? Is the psychologist who analyzes a serial killer? No. It's fallacious. It's logically incoherent. So I don't get it. And I do agree with Anathom Suresh here, so that's interesting. I'll bring up a series of comments from a group of different people, which is something that I just didn't know about this piece of media. I didn't realize how early an isekai this was, and I think I commented something that was stupid about, like, this can't be where Truck-kun got popularized. There's no way. Turns out it is, actually. I was wrong. I didn't realize how, like, old this piece of media is, the original series, and how early in the scheme of isekai stuff it is, and that forces me a little bit to judge it a little bit differently. Maybe not judge the sexual stuff differently, in the way that I would probably judge an 80s manga or 80s anime way differently than a 90s manga or anime, way differently than a 2000s manga or anime, based on how it approaches sexuality and sexual behavior. You know, every sports shonen in the 80s and 90s, you're gonna probably have a scene where the boys peek on the girls' locker room, and it's like, no. But it's a part and parcel to the time, and we can sort of enjoy the series while recognizing that that's just what it was, right? It's like watching a movie from the 40s and having a husband hit his wife, and everybody's like, yep, that's the way that should be. You're like, wow, that's not right at all. It's like, yeah, I know that's not right, but the times. This is a little bit different, but it does make me take a step back from calling things tropey or cliched. If they weren't cliched when this came out, I kind of have to give it some leeway, you know? Which I think makes sense. Okay. And let me see. There were a couple of others that I think I want. Marle. I think the way this show handles the pervy elements and sexual themes is actually pretty interesting / mature. It doesn't seem to tease the audience with ecchi stuff and then brush it off casually, at least usually, but shows that yes, sex is a big part of the world in human relationships. Everyone is horny, and the show won't let you handpick characters based on which one can be looted, which one is cute and pure, which one is my comfort character, etc., etc. I feel like this makes them way more human than in shows where anything sexual is barely mentioned at all, or where it's treated in a very juvenile way. Sex in this world is intertwined with everyone's characterization, and I think that's great. Now, does the show take that as an opportunity to show fan service? Absolutely. But I think it just goes hand in hand, and I can't blame the show for it. Even still, I'm going to back up from this comment and say, does it use this as an opportunity to show fan service? Does it? Yet? I have not been fan serviced yet, I don't think. Sorry, maybe I'm weird, but I don't find any of the panty shots that we've got to be in any way titillating. I mean, the sex scene is because it's sexual in nature, but again, we talked about it, the sex scene that we saw is deeply avoidant of showing actual sexual behavior, right? It's all faces, which is interesting. It's interesting that it works that way, right? Even when we see Roxy in the hallway, we don't, like, hone in and stare at her crotch. We really don't. The camera notices it, Rudy notices it, and then he leaves and does, like, a weird creepy smile thing. All the creepiness comes from him in his mind. The camera almost never even shows it. So, like, I take issue with this question at this point in the show. Does the show take that as an opportunity to show fan service? Does it? Does it? I mean, okay, like, How do we, let me do a thing here. This is a dumb thing, but let me do it really quick, alright? Alright, here's Konosuba episode 1. Here's Konosuba episode 1. Same concept in most cases, because it's a parody of isekai, right? Guy dies to a truck, pushed some kids out of the way as his last act in this world. Immediately we meet Aqua, and one of the first things that we see of her is this. Boing? Understated, but that's there. That's not there in Mushoku Tensei, not yet. It's interesting. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Oh, few seconds. We got ass. Alright. Now that's there for our benefit, right? Not just for his. Boing. Huh. Oh. Hey, wait. He's not looking at that. We are. Right? Interesting. This is fan service. This is for us. This is fan service. Walking in on a girl masturbating in a hallway and then walking out of the hallway is not fan service. It's an event. It's a thing that happened. Having a goddess lean into you, tell you something sexual, and then honing in on her booty where she seems to not be wearing underwear, that's fan service. That's serving, right? There's a distinction there, I think. Isn't there? Like, more than a little bit of a distinction. This isn't to say that, oh, because Mushoku does it less than something like Konosuba, and Konosuba's not judged as being horrible, then of course Mushoku Tensei isn't horrible. That's not the argument here. The argument is pretty simple. Well, in this case, the argument is this. I don't think there's been fan service in Mushoku Tensei yet. At least from my perspective. There are attractive characters. There are people who have sex. There is our main character who is a sex-obsessed virgin, right? Essentially. He's a sex-obsessed 30-year-old virgin who's freaking the fuck out, but he's also in the body of a child, which gets us all of our weird shit. It's kind of interesting. Then we get some comments off of the Marley original comment. Turkey writes, I feel exactly the opposite, and that the author shoehorns in perverted situations constantly in a really immature way that feels completely tonally dissonant with the rest of the show. Yeah, but is the author shoehorning those in, or is Rudy going out and finding them and observing them in his own way? To some extent, it makes me believe in who Rudy is. Doesn't make me like him, let's be clear. It's awful, I don't like it. But it does make me believe. That's something interesting, isn't it? Makes me believe that the sexual things inside this world that we've seen so far are the things that Rudy has noticed. Not just what the camera is showing to us. And I appreciate that, personally. Some people won't, some people don't, but that's it. Arush Bayana responds to Turkey, the perverted situations most of the time aren't really even fantasies if you look at it closely. Take this episode and the last, for example. The parents having sex wasn't overly sexualized and was done rather tastefully. And in this episode, when Roxy was masturbating, it wasn't very sexualized at all. Again, it was sexual. It wasn't sexualized. There's a difference, right? One is the nature of the act, the nature of the event. The other is the nature of the camera. These situations Rudy finds himself in were, IMO, reminders that he's very much a pervert. As much as of a good, pragmatic person that he pretends to be in the show, they constantly try to offset that with reminding you that he can still be a little shit, so you don't automatically go, oh look, he's such a good-natured good guy. Personally, I don't think it's overdone, but I can see how it would seem like that to others. Just because sex and sexual acts aren't really shown in most media, they do exist and happen very often in real life. And Rudius, as a pervert, just makes it weird because that is his character. Yeah. Yeah, this is true. Sex, normal. Perversion turns sex into something abnormal. And indeed, I think repression, what seems to be this response to, oh god, sexual content in my anime. No, none of that. Doesn't that lead to perversion more frequently than not? I don't know. I'm not trying to draw a direct link or anything, but it seems like something to consider. Feels to me like being open and natural about an open and natural thing that humans do is a better path than being puritanical about it. As someone who grew up in puritanical households in a largely puritanical country that has pretty odd views on sex and sexuality. You know? Okay, let me see if there are any other comments that I want to get into. Yeah, actually, I think we'll end with this one. We'll end with a comment from very first question, and this one transitions us nicely into the next segment. I love the arrangement of these first two episodes. First episode presents new Rudy as kind of gray and vague, with just enough context to know he was a failure in the old world, but also a charming small child, albeit creepy. Then the second episode hits you with glimpses of extreme black and extreme white, how much of a shitty person he is, and also the harsh reality that caused him to go down that path, giving hope that things could have been much different. Right. It shows us nature, it shows us nurture, and it shows us the person at the center of it. And it demonstrates to us the possibility, the hope, that potentially with different circumstances, Rudy could grow up differently. And isn't that the whole point? It also brings me back to that comment by Woofers, which talks about redemption. There is no redemption for Rudius. Okay. We'll see. We'll see. Whether, like, I think the way that I take Woofer's point, there is no redemption for Rudius, is like there's no overcoming what he's done. I don't see that as necessarily true. Oh well, anyway. Giving hope that things could have been much different, and we shall see come this next episode. Because this next episode is titled A Friend. And a friend, I think, is something that Rudius could use desperately. Maybe could have used in a previous life, too. Maybe things would have been different if he'd had one. We'll have to find out who this friend is, what they're all about, and how Rudius responds to their potential entry into his life. Let's go ahead and do that. I've been talking for a minute, so let me go ahead and make sure that all my tech is working properly, and then we'll be back in a second to count down for episode 3 of Mushoku Tensei. See you in a moment. Alright, we are rock and rolling and ready to go for episode 3 of Mushoku Tensei. We're going to meet a new character, I think, who will be that friend. We'll see. I don't have anything else to say. Let's go ahead and dive on into it. We're still using the NTBB subs, and we're still going to have a BB timer. There's still early access on the Patreon. You can still like and comment and subscribe on the channel and the video to, help the video get out there more. And also, drop comments. I love reading them at the beginning and talking about them, and they give me a great jumping off point to jump into the next episode. So if you want to write anything you want to write, go ahead and do it. Just think it through. Cool. Let's go into it. Beep beep timer for episode 3 of Mushoku Tensei. Mm-hmm. Mm. Hell yeah. No OP still. Okay, weird. Where's my pen? I'm supposed to have a pen over here, and I don't have one. Fuck it. Pencil. What? Taking his book. Go play with magic. He is going out on his own. Yeah, that's not creepy. Yeah, as they would. But it's creepy. Careful what you wish for, Pops. That's gonna be hard to do. She's got some measurements. Sorry. Oh, and that. Oh, well, that's an interesting one. Man's. Of course. So, of course, yes. Well. Because he's not childish enough. Oh, wait. Is this an OP? No, we've heard this before. Interesting. Wow, that's pretty. Wow. Cool. Something gonna happen to the necklace charm? Oh. Oh. Is it a green-haired demon with a red gem? Yep, probably. Which is also a source of trauma for you. So will you stand up again? Ah, that's a rock. Magic! He's manifesting it, dum-dum. Yep. Alright. Well, hello, green hair. Wow. Oh. Not boy. Pretty sure that's not a boy. I could be wrong. Spray with water? And you can auto heat the water? That's cool. Arigato. Does she have a red gem? His? Still gonna go with a not his. So what are ya? Little hair dryer. Whoa. Oh. Where's he? Hmm. Hmm. What did I do? It sure do. Ah, irrelevant. Boom. Oh. I think this person has been kicked out of their house. Okay. Rough. Rough. Yeah, of course. The magic thing? Oh, I don't know if we can teach you that. Maybe. Hmm. Cute little characterization all around this character. Oh, we found the family. Great. I don't think he did. I don't think he punched him. So they went and tattled. He's gonna. Rough. Yep. Can't justify in that situation, even if it's justified. But yeah. Well then. Okay. Well, he doesn't know how to maintain control in a family. Strength is used to protect others. You can't hit me if I did what you told me to. Alright, now you're being a snarky little bitch. Alright. Now you're being a snarky little fuckboy. You're gonna get hit again. And this time you'll deserve it. That's the truth, though. That was an interesting sequence. I mean, it's again a power fantasy of like being able to talk back to your father, right, or something like that. No, not really, Bish. Sorry. Right. What's your past, Pops? Who am I to say? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Ooh, echoes of fatherhood. Great. Yeah, I was actually wondering about that. Paul's a good-looking man. That's hilarious. Oh, God. Hair's growing. Yeah, like a lot. Right, anyone can grow their mana. It's like working out. God, you really still think that's a boy? What are you doing, Rudy? That's cool. Oh. He just doesn't need it. I don't know if he can. Go for it, though. Like a water bloop. It's not gonna happen, is it? He's special. Yeah. I feel like she might be able to get it though. Yeah, I want to be special. Of course. I must have some power. Oh. Ah, shit. Fuck, anyone can do it. Whoa, that's a great looking scene. Okay, fun CG wheat. Ha 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 ha. Holy. This we're gonna have a weird run-in? Some kind of event? Really? Rough. God. We made it so far in the episode without Rudy saying something shit. Ah, change of clothes sort of situation. Yeah, covering the chest. Haha, let's just take a bath together. Nobody will care. Hmm? Hmm? Why are you still in clothes? Bloop. Right, mushroom dick. That's not the problem. He just doesn't get it. Ah. Dark Blade. Yeah. Yeah. I did not need that phrasing. Did not need. Yeah, absolutely. He didn't know! Good, Paul. Good, Paul, learning. He wasn't even in this circumstance, but never force anyone. Well, we'll see how that goes. So she didn't ever finish her full name, Sylphiette. Maybe. It's worth trying regardless. No. Not quite. Definitely inherited it from somewhere. I kind of hope not. Well, that seems like parenthood. It's true. Oh, that's gonna hurt more. No! No, Rudy, fuck! You fucked it up! Oh, shit. It's true, though. Oh. You're a smart kid. You'll be able to do this. You dum-dum. Hey, he's getting better. Still nothing, but he's getting better. Yeah. You're fighting a child! You're fighting a child! You can't laugh at that. You asshole. Please don't. Oh. Horrified and also like I was being assaulted. Yeah. How to manipulate her. This is great. It's still good advice, but it's gonna go poorly. This is gonna go poorly. Nope. Go on, get. Whoa. She hates her hair. It's the element that makes people hate her. Fucking idiot. God, this is the worst. Don't you dare crocodile tears. Oh, there we go. Yeah, stop being weird, bro. Stop it. Yeah, because you're getting in the way. Y'all children. Good. Yes, cherish the friend I've made in this new world. Good. We'll see how long it lasts. Yeah, what you just taught him to basically push pull somebody. Fucking awful. Real bad idea. Okay, so this is the ED, I guess. Cool. Ugh. Ah. I guess womanizing runs in the family. Just teach him to push pull. Ugh. Still have to meet her. Emergency family meeting. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Let me think for a minute. Okay. There are a lot of things to think about in this episode. I think instead of looking initially for a specific through line or something like that, I mean, the through line is obvious. It's the development of this friendship. But I think the real through line is Rudy growing up a little bit and figuring out boundaries to some extent. I think figuring out boundaries is a good way to put things into perspective in this episode. And I fully expect that having figured out where those boundaries are, Rudy will break them, will step across them in the next few episodes. I think he fully will. Again, he's broken and has problems and is maybe evil. Maybe not, but maybe. Certainly selfish to some extent. But figuring out where those boundaries are, and this idea that we put forward in the very first scenes of the episode where we're talking with the father, that power has its purpose. This feels like an episode of Rudy exploring his newfound power, because that power has become exponentially more interesting because he can leave his house, right? So he can do things and interact with people. It's pretty interesting. Okay, let's move through. I can go out. My days as a recluse are over. This is where my life begins. I can finally get going. And we see this look on his face. It's a mix of wonder and anticipation and trepidation, all mixed up, mashed together. Okay, so the holy artifact is her panties. And we see the womanizing here from the father as well, although they're married, so there's a little bit of a difference there, right? Like, there's something significantly different about slapping your wife's butt than there is about doing it to a stranger, obviously, right? Obviously. Yeah, keeping the panties is a bit of an issue, and calling them like a holy relic and stuff, that doesn't look great for Rudy here. Praying to his holy relic. It is, though. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so Rudy goes outside. I've grown into such a healthy, charming son, which is pretty creepy. And he starts using these arguments, and we get this back and forth with Paul, who's kind of being like, well, I kind of wish he acted more like a kid. It's weird that this kid doesn't act like a kid. I don't know how to deal with that, right? It's my role to be the father and his role to act like a child. Why isn't he acting like a child? Which is pretty great. Oh, and be kind to people. A man's strength isn't for pushing people around. A man's strength is for showing off to girls, right? Ha ha. Wait, no. No, a man's strength is for protecting people. Yes, that's right. And later he will say, who am I to say that? Which is a really interesting one. It makes me really wonder what his pops did, what Paul did. Or didn't do. I'd like a chance to act more like a dad sometimes. That line hits really well. Okay, montage of Rudy walking through the outdoors. This is excellent. The color palette that they've used is fantastic. It's these autumn hues, and they're doing this like semi-golden hour sort of thing so that everything is lit up in brilliance and in glory. What's really great here, I think, is that it manages to feel somewhat grounded. You know, it's easy to go to a fantasy world and make it look like, shit, what's it called? It's the, like, No Game, No Life. No Game, No Life. Like, No Game, No Life, I think is a gorgeous show, but it's way over the top in color design, right? In a great way. It's fantastic, but it's like crazy pinks and purples and weird hues on everybody and weird hues on all the plant life and weird hues on everything. It's like all over the top and not at all grounded. This feels like it could be a place on Earth. And that's pretty helpful for indicating that this is a real world to us. It helps a lot, also, that it's a gorgeous scene. These angel rays of light from up above, the reflections in the water, the sort of misty feeling to everything that's partly created by that filter that's on top of everything. All of this feels great. We get to see this genuine joy in Rudy as he sees these outside elements that he hasn't been able to experience before. Goes and picks a bunch of flowers and plants and learns what they are via a book, right? This is a cool scene of Rudy being Rudy and being capable of doing things that he wasn't capable of doing before. And like, again, his boundary is expanded and he's exploring the space in between. That's development. That's childhood. That's development. Every time you gain new skills and new abilities, your boundaries expand. The distance with which you can travel expands, right? When you learn as a baby to crawl, suddenly you're able to move around and you start exploring that whole space that you can move around in until you fall off of stuff. And then your parents are like, no, don't do that. You're going too far. And you figure out where those boundaries are, right? Rudy's doing that too. He's figuring out where he can go, what he can do. And it goes further. It continues as the episode continues. And it continues as he finds the bullying incident, which is what we're going to move into in a moment. So we find this incident, and Rudy has power now, right? Old Rudy didn't have power. He didn't, and he would not have stepped into a circumstance like this, right? He was the bullied. But Rudy now, having been bullied and now having power, knows what to do with it. He does what his father told him to. Power is for protecting the weak, right? Protecting those who can't protect themselves. So he throws some water balls until they give up. And there are some wonderful goofy scenes like, which is always fun and funny, and I actually appreciate it a lot. I think it's quite enjoyable. And this all leads us to the meeting of Sylph. Shockingly handsome. He'd make the heart of a Shota-inclined lady skip a beat, even a Shotokan male. So here's that bridge, right? Rudy's still old Rudy. He still thinks about things in terms of like a 30-year-old virgin 4chan poster. This is, or I guess 2chan, because it's the Japanese version. 2chan poster. Posting trash on the internet all the time and experiencing trash. So he views things from that perspective. But I do that too, right? Like, meet a person who's acting like Baka. I'm like, oh, that's a Tunsun, that's a tsundere. There's nothing weird about that. It's just interesting. And he makes some assumptions as he does. Oh, this is a boy. Doesn't even presume that she could be female. Which is a major failing and a mistake. But it does color the rest of his stuff during the episode. Alright, doesn't really question what people tell him to do. I bet he'd make a Shotokan dude's heart throb too. Like you? Maybe. Splash! Alright, is this one of them evil demons? Nope. She's a part half-elf and is different from both of her parents and has green hair. Wonder if she is part demon or something. Maybe something weird happened? Maybe her dad cheated on her mom or something? I don't know. Maybe something weird happened. Or I guess it would be her mom cheating on her dad. Yeah, it would have to be, wouldn't it? Wait, those ears. Are you an elf? I don't know. You don't mind how I look. No, my master was a demon. Are you a demon? Well, I don't really know what I am. But is a half-elf. But the hair color is different. And I actually think that this moment right here is actually fantastic because I think you have to be an absolute degenerate to get it. I don't think you have to be an absolute degenerate. It makes perfect sense. This moment where he goes, "Oh, I knew it! Haha! Elves exist." Immediately, I'm like, "Oh shit!" He's just thinking of elf porn. And he's thinking of nothing but elf porn. There's no way that anything else is in his damn mind right now. Ah, Rudy. Gets mud thrown at him just for his hair color. Just the idea almost makes me piss myself. Again, very vulgar in phrasing, but the idea makes sense, right? This is someone whose previous life was shaped by bullying, and seeing it for a reason that's beyond control. Oof. Seems rough, right? I think so. I think that makes perfect sense. Father says to be a friend to the weak. Oh, I like this too. But they might shun you. Well, if that happens, you can play with me. Totally nonchalant about it. doesn't care about being shunned by others. And again, I think this is an extension of Rudy having power. I really do. I think that if he felt powerless, he would need that. He's able to explore this space of being generous and being helpful and being friendly because he doesn't feel threatened, right? That's how I see it anyway. No chores? No. And he's immediately thinking about how to spin it his way, right? Even thinking that this is a boy. Oh, he's pretty. I guess girls will be all over him. Maybe I can get some of them to like me instead. Haha. You'd be a useful wingman. So he gets Sylph, and then the wind blows by and interrupts, so he believes that that's her full name. Great. What do we do? How do we play? Teach me that water thing. Oh, okay, sure. And does. Okay. So here we go. This is the scene where I think this is the best scene in the episode by a pretty long shot. Do you know why I'm upset? And he immediately jumps to the different things that he's done. I will break out of this and say, like, this is the mentality that you have if you continuously do things that are wrong and hide them from people and lie about them. You will always feel like people are catching you when they're not, or when they are. Doesn't matter. You will always feel persecuted. You will always feel like others are against you and after you and trying to hurt you. You'll always be scared. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Nope, no idea. I heard you punched little Somal. Oh, that must have been that kid. Oh, I see. I don't know what you heard, Father, but... And he's speaking flippantly. No. When you do something bad, you say sorry. But he didn't do something bad, right? So this is parenting issue. This is tough. This is a situation where Rudy's expanding his boundaries and expanding his power, and his father is a problem for that, right? Because he's the one with power in this relationship. Rudy standing up to him is a bit of a problem. It's also a fantasy fulfillment for us, for the audience. And to think that it's not built for us, for the audience, is silly in this circumstance. What's the fantasy of every person who's under the thumb of an authoritarian father? To be able to convince them with truth and facts and logic why what you were doing was right and get them to back down. What actually happens? Not this. Not this. Not ever. This never happens. But he tries to explain, continues trying to explain, don't make excuses. Well then. And he gives him this indignant look. Okay, well, I could just apologize, but it wouldn't be best for Paul. Well, why aren't you saying anything? Because you'll yell at me not to make excuses if I do. Shout and make your kid apologize before he says anything? And then he gets snarky. Everything is so quick and easy with adults. Must be nice. This is where Rudy fucks up. He gets too snarky. He could have done this without this. And this is where Paul fucks up. He gets angry because his authority is being questioned. And so he strikes Rudy because he doesn't know how to maintain authority without physical violence. A lot of parents do this. You need to be able to maintain authority without physical violence. And that means being calm. It really means being calm. I'm bringing this up because I live with a relatively recent father, and this is hard. It's hard. You have to be calm. You're the rock. You're the one in control. If you lose control like this, you lose the kid. You've lost him. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people. When you raise your hand to a child like this, it demonstrates to them that you're out of control, that you don't have authority. You've lost them forever. They will fear you forever. They will never respect you again. Not really. Don't ever strike a child in anger like this. This is a little PSA. Don't ever strike a child in anger like this, especially when they're right, or when they could be, or when you don't see a way to control the situation. If you feel the urge, take a big, deep breath. And hopefully, if you can, walk out of the room. Go somewhere else. Cool down. Because it's not worth it. Smack. We do it off screen. And he gets up indignant and says this. Up until now, I've done my best to be a good child. That's beside the point. No, it isn't. It is the point. I've worked hard to earn your trust. You've just shouted at me and hit me without giving me any chance to explain myself. But, even if his injury were my fault, I wouldn't apologize. Wait, what? And suddenly Paul realizes, like, wait, this isn't just a kid making excuses. What's going on? And so he explains himself. And then Rudy goes snarky again. But you told me not to make excuses. I can't say anything or you'll hit me again. And then, don't worry about it. Next time I see kid bullying another kid, I'll join in. That's what you want, right, Dad? Now, this is all unnecessary sarcasm and snark from Rudy, but he's getting his point across, and he's reveling in it, right? Rudy's a vindictive bastard, okay? This is something that we learn about him in this episode that's really important. You slight him, he will get you. He will think about it, he will stew on it, and he will get you. That's an evil trait, by the way. Vindictiveness is evil. By nature. Eye for an eye, bad, not useful. Revenge, not useful. But it tells us something about Rudy. It tells us that he needs to be right in this circumstance, and he needs to prove it to Paul. It's partly a power struggle between him and his father, showing where he can be pushed, and demonstrating that his boundaries have expanded, right? Rudy's have. He's also pushing against Paul, who's acting as a boundary here, right? I am the role of father. Father is authority. Authority is, is everything. And Rudy says, no, correctness is everything. I'll let everyone know that that's the Grey Rat family way. And I'll leave and I'll never call myself right. And then we get this inside his head, which is the fantasy fulfillment part, right? I don't really understand I didn't spend 20 years talking my way through unwinnable arguments for nothing. I think what it means is he's saying, lying and scheming in order to, like, stay in his household and argue with his parents and all that stuff. That's what I think. I don't think it's a reference to, like, eroge or gaming or anything like that. I think it's that. The difference in this circumstance that Rudy recognizes in the next line is, I'm completely in the right in this one. And indeed he is. He is in the right in this one. And Paul is capable of holding himself together, which is a big +1 to Paul, I think, right? As far as parenting goes. He made a mistake there, absolutely. And to be clear, the mistake isn't because Rudy is right? The mistake is a mistake regardless. Even if Rudy was lying through his teeth, and he had just punched this kid for no reason, for example. What Paul does, in terms of not getting his child's side of the story and acting as authority for the sake of authority, is still wrong. It's still a failing as a father. But this is some good stuff. This is good. He manages to, and I think it's important to note that he does this after having already let the cap off of his anger, right? That makes it way harder. That's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. All right, so return to home. Hello, I made a new friend. And we get inside Paul's mind. How did it end up this way? That kid definitely had a bruise. Was almost relieved he'd done something childish, but he's a Saint Class Water Mage. I have to be a little extra hard on him. We get this, let's be honest, gorgeous mama. Look at that pointy chin. Coming over and yelling at him. How did it end up this way? And he says, who am I to say a man's strength is for protecting the weak? What does he mean by this? Is this only in reference to this circumstance, or is it in reference to his actual past, Paul's? I don't know. We don't know anything about the political landscape of this world, or who Paul has fought for, or what he has done in his past, or anything. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Little fight. If I'd told him to get out of the house, he probably would have left for good, just like that. And she says, like you. So he had some kind of a fight with his father, and he just left. And he regrets it, to some extent. I really like this moment where he holds his wife and leans into her shoulder. Again, it's the physicality of comfort, of connection. And it seems utterly pure to me. I never got to apologize to him, but I wonder if my old man felt like this. So his father's dead. I wonder if he felt like he made this kind of a mistake. Ooh. This is the kind of thing that I can't unpack because it's too close to me. Unfortunately. I will probably never know if my father regrets the way that we interacted over the last period that we were in contact. I'll probably never know. But I know that I had to leave. Wonder if my old man felt like this. I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, so they kept coming after us, and we kept fighting, and that mother keeps coming to complain. Seems to be more interested in Paul than in that son. I'm curious to find out whether that will ever bloom into any kinds of mistakes made by Paul. Be really curious to see if that bit of darkness comes in. We'll see. And Sylphie, hi. Learning magic, learning mana, finding out that mana is not limited, demonstrating lots of behaviors. Why don't you say it out loud? Why can't you teach me? We get these moments where he's looking at her face and being like, this is weird, you're really pretty, but you're a boy, I don't know what to do about this. Which is great. Explains the whole thingamajig, and I think, yeah, is a broken skill or two too much to ask, and I think this is just great, that she gets it, and then starts running around with water flying everywhere, and I really like this sequence here, and I wanted to look at it to see how they're doing these little water effects, as she's just, wee, splash, wee. I just think it's really cute and very fun. The CG wheat is fun too, as are the scenes of them running through it. I just want to see, in that first scene, this one. Oh, they're just ignoring it. That's great. So I was wondering what they were doing as far as, like, you know, her arms are spread and the bits of wheat are going by. Are they actually, like, making them bend around them or whatever? And the answer is no, they're just ignoring it. Just fully ignore it, make them disappear, and it's fine because they're moving fast enough. And it is. It's totally fine because they're moving fast enough. And actually, no, wait, there is a wake created by them. They've added movement to sections of the wheat so that it feels like there's like a wake behind them. That's interesting. Okay. Ha, pure. Pure and pure. And woof. Yoinks. Jinkies. That's a cutie. Okay, now that I think about it, the old me had a childhood friend who was a girl. Come to think of it, she got married recently. Then he says, what a wasted opportunity. And the sky, the clouds roll in as he thinks this. Does this seem like the show is a proponent of the way Rudy is thinking here? I don't think so. What a waste. Okay, I used to have a childhood friend, bright and glorious, golden fields of wheat, sunlight and glory, joy of laughing and being with friends. And then he thinks about how much of a wasted opportunity is that he never fucked his childhood friend is what he's thinking, right? Huh. And then the clouds roll in? Huh. And of course, these days I could rub 3 out to just the words is utterly vulgar. And that's totally fine. I don't care. And clouds roll in and rain on him when he thinks these things. Interesting. Narratively useful for bringing them into the home and bringing up the whole bath sequence, but interesting that happens right when he thinks those thoughts, right? Interesting. Alright, have some towels, go to the bath. I don't think there's necessarily a problem in terms of community guidelines with, like, baby weenies, but I'm gonna be careful with it anyway. So, let's be clear. Sylph doesn't want to take their clothes off. Rudy forces them to take their clothes off, and then sneakily forces them to take all their clothes off, despite multiple no's. Essentially, this is wrong regardless of what gender Rudy thinks that Sylph is. It doesn't really matter. Oh, that's what I would say, and Sylph is crying, because Sylphiette is girl. Also, more importantly, because you just stripped a person without their consent. It doesn't matter if it's if boy or girl, the no was a no, and that's pretty clear, right? This is not good from Rudy. And the show treats it... Oh, wait. The show treats it like it's not good from Rudy. And the parent does what a parent would do when a child might engage in some kind of wrong behavior, or hurtful behavior, or sexual behavior. You know, like, we've got an interesting and weird and like a difficult perspective on this, because Rudy's not a child. He's a child, man-child, right? He's a man-child, which is a child in the body of a man in the body of a child, right? He's still an adult, essentially, but also a child. It's all complicated, and I don't know how to put it yet. I just don't. But children do shit like this all the fucking time. All the fucking time. I mean, did you ever play I'll Show Me Yours? I'll show you mine if you show me yours when you were like 5? I definitely did. 100% definitely did. With girls and with boys. We didn't know what the fuck was going on. It wasn't even sexual. It's curiosity. It's normal. Is Rudy doing that? No, but it's the same kind of thing where the parent has to take them aside and be like, hey, that wasn't good. Here's why. Don't do it again. And what does the show do? Well, it has Paul treat him like a child and act like a parent. And learn from the previous parenting instance. Very interesting. Okay. Is girl... Whoa. Why would you do that? Sorry, I didn't know. And he is inside his own head. I won't fly off the handle. I won't make that mistake again. Okay, tell me why you did. Well, I thought she'd catch a cold, but she said no. Yes. Well, no means no. Don't fuck with people without their consent. And VLC is frozen. Great. Hey, we made it 17 minutes, though. Well, you might be getting interested in stuff like this at your age, but never force anyone. Yes, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Apologize to Sylph yet, not to me. That's correct. And she'll forgive you if you apologize sincerely, if you mean it. Very good. Still, you're a smart boy. You'll surely figure out a way. And then he says, I thought you were a boy. I thought it wouldn't matter. And he just hurts her. More, which is great. Okay, and then we get this advice from him, which is the worst. This is bad. Women like our weaknesses. True. True. If you're just acting like a hardcore rapist, people are going to be freaked out. Yes. So what do? Wear your vulnerabilities on your sleeve. Yes, good. Be open. Except then it's wrong, because it's like, show her that you are hurt by her not being near you, and basically guilt trip her into liking you again and being around you again is what he tells him. And it's not right. What do you think will happen then? That's right, she'll come right back. Oh, don't worry, I'll tell you the next move. What have I taught my son? And then we get this. And here's the thing, though. I think him stumbling over his apologies and his contrition, well, this part is wrong, right? Like, you're cute, so you should grow out your hair. What am I doing wrong? And then I feel like you don't like me anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he shows his seriousness because he's actually flustered and fumbling here and trying to figure it out. And I like it. I actually kind of like it. It is definitely a push-pull, like, negging thing that's going on here. That's like, oh, yes, I'll push you away and then guilt trip you so you come back. Gross. Gross manipulator shit. Same with the, I'd like to build a good relationship for the future. But this line here, I don't know the right way to get along with her. It's the most accurate thing that Rudy's said about himself in a long time, isn't it? I don't know how to get along with this person. You're damn right you don't. He's got no social skills. And so he fucked stuff up. Even this, he didn't fuck it up malevolently. Maliciously. Right? He didn't. Was it wrong? Yes. Was it malicious, malevolent, evil? No. But it was wrong, and it was a mistake. Okay. Cool. Will he learn from it? And what will he learn from it? That's where the interesting question is. Cool. So, via this struggle, this back and forth, and this flaw, this failure... Man, what the hell did I just teach him? Yeah, you just taught him some womanizing shit, you dum-dum. We have now established a powerful friendship between Rudius and Sylphiette. Another magician, another one capable of magic, and I feel like they're going to be together for a long, long time. Where will they go from here? Will they meet new characters? What will happen? I don't know. I don't even remember what the next episode... Emergency family meeting! Right. That. Cool. We'll have to wait to see what that's all about next time when we watch some Mushoku Tensei. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope to catch you next week for more. If there's anything that I missed, or talked about in a way that you thought was incorrect, or didn't talk about, or talked about and it wasn't there, I don't know, or whatever, please drop it in the comments, and I will guarantee that I will read through them, and maybe even talk about it come next episode. Thanks so much for watching once more. Early access on the Patreon if you'd like the next week's episode. Check that out. And I'll see you next week for more Mushoku Tensei. Peace.